taking me money, sending me nothing, and then leaving me to talk to myself in the messages. Nah. That is not a good look. Hi guys, welcome back to video 8 of All I Know About Depop. This video is going to be my top 5 tips on how to deal with customer problems so you keep people coming back to your shop and you minimise bad reviews. If you sell good items, write good descriptions and ship on time, then you shouldn't have too much grief with customer problems. But even if you try and deliver the most perfect service, unfortunately you will make mistakes, things will go wrong out of your control, and sometimes you'll just have a customer that isn't that nice. These 5 tips I'm going to share are how I like to deal with customer problems to keep customers happy and make sure I keep that 5-star rating. Number 1, always be nice. The customer is always right. It's a little cliche and not always true, but a friendly and understanding tone will serve you well when dealing with a problem. I don't know if you've ever worked in customer service where you have to be actually face to face with the customer, but with Depop you actually have the luxury that you don't even have to act nice, you just need to type nice. I think a good rule of thumb is to always start your initial response with an apology. You'll have cases where it's not your fault, for example if an item gets delayed in the post, and you'll have cases where it's actually the customer's fault, for example if they've ordered the wrong size. Doesn't matter who is at fault, I would always start the response with an apology. For example, I use this line occasionally, so I'll say, "Hi Sally, sorry the item wasn't what you expected, blah 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 blah." This is a good line if the item doesn't fit or if the customer has made an error. Using a line like this early on shows the customer that you do care, that they've had a bad experience with your shop, and it sets the tone for the rest of the message that isn't argumentative but understanding. I would be careful not to overdo this tone. Words like hun and pal and sweetheart, I'm not sure anyone uses that, but words like this, they might sound endearing your end, but actually they can be misread as a bit passive aggressive. So I would stay away from these words when dealing with a problem. Number 2, compensate the buyer when you are at fault. There will be times when you miss a flaw on an item, mark it as great condition, then you sell it, and then a little bit later on you get a DM from an understandably unhappy customer who has bought an item without knowing that it actually does have a flaw on it. In these situations, I think it's important to accept responsibility. Let the buyer know that you've made an error and apologise, and then what I like to do is offer them some compensation for the mistake that I've made. I tend to offer a partial refund, so say if someone's bought a £20 shirt, I'll offer them a £5 partial refund because now the shirt is flawed, so it is worth less. I also offer them at the same time that they can just send it back to me and I'll offer them a full refund. It might be that now the customer is no longer interested in the item because it's got a flaw on. For example, they might have bought it as a gift and now they don't feel comfortable giving it as a gift with like a significant flaw on it. So by offering them a reduction or a full refund, both cases are covered and the customer will be most likely happy with either of these. I find especially on Depop that buyers are very thankful when you take responsibility for your error and apologise. I don't know if it's down to reputation or other sellers doing a bit of a shoddy job with customer service, but I found that most of my buyers that have had issues and have DM'd me are actually quite surprised that I just apologised and sorted out the problem rather than just blocking them. Which is not good. I don't know who's just blocking people whenever people have problems with orders, but that's savage. I think doing the right thing in these scenarios helps to build trust with customers and keeps people feeling comfortable that they can shop at your shop. Number 3, offer returns. This is the easiest way to minimise bad reviews and solve problems. If you offer returns, whatever the problem, whether it doesn't fit or it gets really badly delayed in the post, you can reassure the buyer that as long as they send it back to you, you can give them their full money back. I also think this helps to get more sales in the long run, especially if you're selling pricey items or items like jackets and jeans that are hard to know whether they will fit you properly until you try them on. Offering returns up front is a good way to reassure the buyer that they're not going to get stuck with your item if it doesn't fit, and gives them more of a reason to shop with you. Offering returns is also really handy if you're dealing with tricky customers. If they haven't been too nice in letting you know the issue, then you can really quickly just tell them, send it back to me and I'll give you a full refund. This means you spend a lot less time dealing with them, and there's a good chance they'll be happy with a return and won't go on to leave a bad review. Number 4, trust your buyers. Despite what Depop drama leads you to believe, I actually don't think there's that many scammers on Depop. I might have been just very lucky with my experiences, but I do think it is important to trust your buyers. It's better to be screwed over by a couple of scammers than to point the finger and be suspicious of a few honest customers. Unless there's some obvious reason, it's best to assume that the buyer is telling the truth. If an item hasn't arrived, or an item is missing from the parcel, or if it's been damaged on the way, you're better off to trust the customer and take responsibility and solve the problem. I had a situation where a buyer got in touch to say she hadn't received her order, so I looked at the tracking number and it actually said it had been delivered. So I showed this to her and she got back to me and she was confused, said it definitely hadn't arrived, and she checked with neighbours and found nothing. So this looks a little suspicious. Royal Mail is claiming it's been delivered, my customer is claiming it hasn't been delivered. In this scenario, I don't know what's happened, but the best bet is to trust the customer. If I accuse the customer of lying and I refuse to refund her and she is telling the truth, then I've almost definitely lost her as a customer and she will almost definitely leave a really bad review. This is not worth the small chance that I get scammed. I actually ended up sending a new jumper to this woman because they were dead stock, so luckily I had more than one of them. She received it this time and actually went on to buy multiple more items from my shop throughout the next month. So it looks like she was telling the truth and there was just an error with the Royal Mail delivery, or that day the postman fancied himself a pink jumper. I don't know. Either way, sometimes accepting a bit of loss when things go wrong is the right thing to do. In the long run, losing a few pounds of profit is much better than gaining a nasty review. This is especially important at the start of your shop when you don't have many reviews. You've got to tread pretty carefully with the problems. Bear in mind, this is a lot easier when items aren't worth that much. If you're selling like Gucci sunglasses, I would make sure you send them tracked, and I think you're fair to be a bit more suspicious when they don't turn up. But with smaller items, I think it's always benefited me in the long run to trust my buyers. Number 5, be quick with responses. If there's one way to irk an already annoyed customer, it's to ignore them or reply super slowly to their messages. This has actually happened to me really recently as a customer, so I'm super passionate about this one at the minute. I've just been ghosted by an Etsy shop that I bought a gift from a few weeks ago. Hasn't arrived, got in touch, nothing. It's a big shop, it's got like 40,000 sales, and they've just left me hanging. Weird and annoying, and quadrupled the chance of me leaving a bad review. I probably won't because I'll feel guilty if I do, but taking me money, sending me nothing, and then leaving me to talk to myself in the messages, nah. That is not a good look. So definitely don't ignore your customer and make sure you get back to them in like a timely manner. If I get a message with a problem, I normally stop what I'm doing and get back to it as quickly as I can. If that's not viable, then I at least try and get back to them within 24 hours. This just makes sure you don't annoy the probably already annoyed customer anymore, and again just keeps everything happy and moving. To conclude, to summarise, these are my main points when dealing with customer problems. Be kind, take responsibility when it's your fault, offer returns, trust your buyers, and respond quickly. If you take these on board, then you shouldn't have too many issues when things go wrong, and your 5-star reviews will be kept intact. I've actually had a few 5-star reviews from customers where things have gone wrong, so that just proves that if you deal with the problem right, then the customer will maybe appreciate it and go on to leave a positive review. So don't beat yourself up when things go wrong. If you deal with them in the right way, then they won't be too much of a problem, and solving the issues does just become part of the job. If this video has helped in any way, then be sure to check out my next video, which is going to be a 100 subscriber special with a Christmas theme. Meanwhile, you can check out these, pop any questions below and I will get back to you, and I'll see you next time.